Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious, seasoned, crispy, oven-baked chicken. Now, this is very similar to fried chicken, except that it's baked. We first start off by taking the chicken, we clean it, of course, we trim off the excess fat, and then afterwards, we season and marinate the chicken overnight. The next day, it is coated with a seasoned egg, breadcrumb, and all-purpose flour batter. Then it is sprayed with a natural olive oil spray, which has no propellant in it, of course, like some of those other sprays that you might get from the grocery store. After that, it is baked to perfection in a 375-degree oven until it's nice golden brown, crispy on the outside, and juicy and flavorful on the inside, just like fried chicken does. This recipe makes about 8 pieces of chicken. It's a little bit healthier, well seasoned, just like my homemade fried chicken recipe is, crispy and absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your crispy oven-baked chicken. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 3.5 pounds of chicken. I have 4 chicken legs and 4 chicken thighs. And along with that, you will need some plain breadcrumbs, all-purpose flour, large eggs at room temperature, extra virgin olive oil. Now this is 100% natural spray. It doesn't have any propellants or anything like that. And it also has a bag inside of the canister. But you can use any other type of cooking spray for this recipe if you like. And for your seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now if you don't have this, you can use Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Slappy Mama Cajun seasoning. You'll also need some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, granulated onion, granulated garlic, some smoked paprika, some dried thyme, and some dried oregano. And to bake your chicken, you will need an 11 by 17 inch baking pan and a rack that can fit right inside of it, because after we finish from cooling the chicken, we're going to place it on the rack and then put it in the oven. So that way the chicken won't have any contact with the pan during the baking process. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So I've added my chicken pieces into this strainer, and I'm going to rinse the chicken pieces off with cold water. Now I like to do this step to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the chicken. Okay, I've placed the chicken thigh on top of this chopping board here. Now if your chicken has any type of excessive skin or fat or anything like that, just take your knife and just trim that off. And once done, you just take some napkins and pat the chicken dry. Okay, let's get started with seasoning and marinating our chicken. So in this medium-sized bowl, I've added the chicken in there, of course. So let's add some seasoning. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a half a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, 1 teaspoon of granulated onion, 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic, a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and a half a teaspoon of dried oregano. I'm going to take my hands and coat all of the seasonings onto the chicken. I'm going to cover this. Place this into your refrigerator and let this marinate for about 4 hours, or if you're a patient guy like myself, I'm going to let this marinate overnight. Alright, let's get started with making our seasoned egg batter. So in this medium-sized bowl, I've added 5 large eggs at room temperature. Let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/4 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a half a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, a half a teaspoon of granulated onion, and a half a teaspoon of granulated garlic. I'm going to take my whisk and stir all the ingredients together until combined. And you want to make sure that everything is nice and well seasoned. And there you go. Alright, let's get started with our seasoned breadcrumb batter. So in this large bowl, make sure you have a top to put on top of the bowl. So first things first, we're going to add 2 1/4 cups of plain breadcrumbs, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 or 2 teaspoons of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, 1 to 2 teaspoons of granulated onion, 1 to 2 teaspoons of granulated garlic, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, and a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And from there, I'm going to stir all the ingredients together until combined. Now I pretty much added less seasoning because breadcrumbs, whether if it's plain or Italian, already has salt in it, so we don't want to add salt on top of salt. Now before we begin the process of battering the chicken, make sure you have your 11 by 17 inch baking pan with a rack ready to go. Okay, let's get started with battering our chicken. So I'm going to just take a leg and a thigh. Just do 2 pieces at a time. We're going to add it into the seasoned egg batter. Give it a nice light coating. From there, we're just going to carefully shake the egg batter off as we want just a slight coating. Add it into the seasoned breadcrumb batter. And from there, we're just going to toss the chicken in the seasoned breadcrumb batter. Just like that. And I just want to let y'all know about the chicken. And the first time when you coat the chicken, be very careful not to really touch the outer skin, because especially if your hands are not dry and it's still wet and sticky, just make sure you take the time to wash your hands and then dry them off, and then you can touch the chicken. Okay, and there we're just going to shake that off just a little bit, and from there we're going to add it back into the egg batter and just coat it into the egg batter once again, very gently. And also, when you're coating the chicken with the egg mixture, just take your hand, just make sure your hand clean, and just coat the chicken with the egg mixture. And from there you're going to remove it out, give it another quick shake as you just want a light coating, and from there you're going to add it back into the seasoned breadcrumb batter. Again, very light shake. Add it back into the seasoned breadcrumb batter. From there, I'm just going to cover this. Just give it a quick shake to coat the chicken with the seasoned breadcrumb batter. Be careful with how you remove it out the batter. And there we go, our chicken is nice and coated. Same thing with the chicken thigh, nice and coated. And from there, we're just going to carefully remove it and place it onto your baking rack with an 11 by 17 inch baking pan underneath it. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees. Alright, now for the fun part. Here we have the extra virgin olive oil spray. Now remember, this is 100% natural spray. It has a bag inside of it, and it has a lot of pressure in it, so it doesn't have any propellant or anything in it. Alright, so now the objective here is to spray the chicken without having to touch the chicken, even though eventually we will touch the chicken. So I'm going to just give this a quick shake, and from there I'm going to carefully spray it onto each piece of chicken. Now you want to make sure that the chicken is nice and saturated. You want to make sure it's wet. It's another one. You want to make sure that the chicken is nice and saturated with the olive oil mixture. Just use your judgment skills to determine how much to add. Okay, next we're going to carefully flip the chicken over. Give it another shake and carefully spray the opposite side. And from there, we're going to flip the chicken back over. Some spots that we missed over here, just try to spray that. Just get into some spots that you missed, especially around the thighs. And as a final garnish, I'm going to just sprinkle a small amount of the Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic. I just sprinkle just a small amount on top of each piece of chicken. It's a very small amount. There we go. Now it's ready to be put in the oven. Place this into a preheated 375-degree oven on the bottom rack. Keep in mind that baking times vary depending on the size of the chicken, so it can take more or less time to bake. You also want to keep a thermometer to monitor the chicken so that way the internal temperature of the chicken reaches 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour. Alright, it's been about 1 hour now for our chicken. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Now I've inserted a meat thermometer into the chicken thigh. Internal temperature should be about 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Let the chicken cool for 30 minutes to an hour before serving. As the chicken cools, do not cover the chicken, just leave the chicken uncovered. If you need to reheat the chicken, you can place it into an air fryer individually, or you can place it onto an 11 by 17 inch baking pan with the rack. Just place the chicken on the rack just as you see here, and then place it into a preheated 375 degree oven and just heat the chicken for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the chicken is hot. And from there you remove it out the oven in the air fryer and let it cool for about 5 minutes before serving. Alright, and this is how the chicken looks on all sides. As you can see, that's nice and thoroughly cooked all around. Alright, and here's the cross section of a chicken leg and a chicken thigh, and as you can see, that is thoroughly cooked. It is done. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Seasoned, crispy, oven-baked chicken made by New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. Now, I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for this delicious, seasoned, crispy, oven-baked chicken. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's taste test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to grate and take a bite. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh. Mm-hmm. Woo! Well, I tell you, I actually like this better than actual fried chicken. I mean, it is well seasoned, juicy, and the thing is that the breading on the chicken actually keeps all of the juices and the flavors locked inside the chicken during the baking process. I mean, y'all, it's wonderful. Crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, delicious. It's like fried chicken, but it's oven baked. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.